It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Voorhees Tigers head softball coach, Coach Courtney Tucker. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to coach in college softball?
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of early in my playing career. I would say maybe high school or so. It was mainly my travel coach, that I played for, where I got the notion to want to kind of do what he did and like start a team when they're very young and just build them up. But I didn't realize, the possibility of collegiate coaching until I got my grad assistant position.
What was that experience like going to North Carolina Westland and playing collegiate softball?
It was an awesome experience. I feel like I toured a lot of schools, but for some reason, they always say when you know, you know, it just felt like home to me. The staff, all the people that were there at the university, and of course, the head coach, John Brackett, who is still there to this day. It was just a really great experience, and I just felt that that was the place that I wanted to spend my 4 years.
As a player, what was it like getting to put on that North Carolina Westland jersey?
It was like a surreal moment. You work so hard, from the first moments when you fall in love with the sport and then all the way up until that graduation day. So it was a really awesome experience and just super exciting.
Throughout your collegiate time, what were some of your biggest accomplishments on the softball field?
So I believe some of my awards, it was MVP. I got recognized through the USA South for first team accolades. And then at the university, I was female athlete of the year. Um, so those were just some of the awards that I received during my time there.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like getting a grad assistant position and getting started in your coaching?
It was awesome for two reasons. I feel like I'm always a student for anything that I'm doing. So it's just great to continue my education and be able to pursue my post-secondary education at Averett University, and then just being able to continue the game and just being around the game, once I graduated.
What was that feeling like coming back to your alma mater and being the assistant coach for North Carolina Westland?
I mean, what an awesome experience, right? It's no better feeling than to be able to get to coach where you just played and be able to help, the former head or the head coach that was there, and just being able to, insist and have some of your imprint on the program as well.
For you, what was that experience like going from being a player to coaching at being 1 year out and coaching at your alma mater?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because, you still want to play. Unfortunately, we didn't have the extended life that some of these athletes have, due to COVID and just being able to get, those extra years. So it's just like, man, I just want to be out there and, play, one more year. So it was tough, but it was a good and smooth adjustment, though. Because when I came back to my alma mater, I believe I only played maybe with one of the individuals. So it's not like it was that right out of school, like we're still friends and now I have to discipline you kind of thing. So I was removed a little bit before coming back. So I feel like that transition helped a bit.
What was that experience like for you coaching on the community college level as assistant coach?
Definitely a different experience. Most of my time was spent at four-year institutions, but just the flexibility and the ability to be able to play more games in the fall and in the spring was a lot different. So the travel and the amount of games that were played was definitely an eye opener, I would say. But it was a really good experience, though. I had a good time at Harvard Community.
During your time, what was that experience like going to William Peace and being the assistant coach there?
So going back to William Peace, it was like, I don't know, it was like an honor, I guess, because Coach Dobbins, he's known me since I was about 18 myself. So it was kind of cool, like being able to come coach with him and being back in the same conference. It was tough when I had to play against NC Wesleyan, but had a job to do and of course wanted the Pacers to win. But it was a really good experience overall.
What was that experience like when you got your first head coaching job at Selma College?
So at Salem, it was awesome. Every assistant dreams of that moment where they get that phone call like, "Hey, you know, we've chosen you." So it was really good to see, the AD, to see something in me and believe in my abilities to be able to lead that program.
For you, what was that transition like going from being a head coach at Salem to coming to Valkyrie?
Um, so. The transition, it wasn't a big transition. I feel like just having a couple years under my belt, it kind of helped me to develop and redefine some of my standards and things like that. So I would say the transition was a pretty smooth transition.
How was that feeling like getting announced to become the next head coach?
It was great, just being able to lead another program and just being able to put your imprint on that. And just having the girls being very receptive to the things that I am implementing within the system.
For you, what was that feeling like stepping onto the softball field for the first time as a new head coach?
Oh man. It's it's a lot of different emotions, just stepping on the field in general is always another day to be able to do something and be able to get better. But just being that head coach, it's like everything is on you now and just being able to see all the hard work that you've put into all the weeks and weekends, and just seeing that product being put on stage. I don't know, it's just like a true excitement, I would have to say.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a head coach versus for your softball players?
Yeah, I feel like my players, they get to chill a little bit more than I do. Of course, like I'm up hours before the kids, making sure I have like all my game day charts, my lineups prepared. Of course, the field, got to drag the field, line the field, those kinds of things. Um, and making sure the visiting team is taken care of with the game day timeline. Um, Greeting the umpires, letting them know the plan for the day. So it's a lot involved, but it's a beautiful chaos, I would say.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build for the program?
Yeah, so my values, it's an acronym TRUE, and it's trust, respect, understanding, and empowerment. And I am just really excited about the girls being able to receive that information and input it. I'm really big on relationships, and I just want to, be able to have that one-on-one communication with my student athletes. And I just want them to know that I am here for them and then they can come to me with anything that whatever they're going through. But my system is also based on accountability. I just want the young ladies to know like it's okay if you mess up, right? But we got to take ownership in the things that we're doing and how we need to move and what we need to accomplish.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So within our conference, so we're in a new conference this year. So outside of us, it's Rust, Dillard, Oakwood, Stillman, and Talladega. Those are the teams in our conference right now.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Talladega comes to home versus going to Russ or Dillard?
So I would say our home environment is crazy, crazy in a good way, right? Like the students, the administration staff, everybody shows up for our games. You just feel the love and support from everybody at the university. Um, I'd say we're a tough place to play just because the crowd is just right on top of you, so you can feel and see and hear everything. But it's a great environment and a great experience for our girls, just for the support wise. But as a visitor, I would not want to play at our at our home games.
What is that experience like traveling to Talladega or traveling to Russ and playing them at their facility?
Travel, it's a long day of travel. So because we were in South Carolina and having to go to Mississippi and Alabama, it weighs a lot on you, but it makes for a lot of great team stories, team bonding aspects. So it brings us a lot closer as we continue our journey going to these away games.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate softball, and what do you look at in them as recruits?
So, the recruiting process would be different for each kid, but the thing remains the same. I tell them all the time, I can promise an opportunity, but I can't promise, playing time. That is solely dependent upon you and your performance and how you show up for practice. Other things are your effort, your attitude, your off the field performance as well. Your grades. So those are a lot of things that we hit on early in the process. I ask kids, how coachable are you? Um, we don't really want to have to coach bad attitudes. If so, there might be other avenues for them. But what I look at most outside of course, ability, is just who they are as a person. I think it's important to get to know them on that basic level, and just understand what their interests are. Obviously, they're interested in softball because that's why I'm talking to them. But like, what else do you like to do? What are some of your hobbies? What TV show are you watching right now? Because we might be into the same kind of shows, just building that connection and that camaraderie amongst my recruits is one of the things that I like to do up front. And then, of course, their playing ability, just seeing like how they are, but just really looking at all the pieces. How's their attitude? How do they recover from a mistake? Those kinds of things. And believe it or not, parents, right? We're watching from the sidelines, so we just want to like make sure we're bringing the right people within the program, for what my standards are.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen putting on that blue jersey for the first time?
It's kind of like it kind of takes you back a little bit to when you played, but it's just cool because they're so excited. They're ready for game day, but just seeing the joy on their faces is what excites me for continuing this journey.
What is that experience like getting to see them achieve those first milestones like first home runs, first hits, or first pitches?
Yeah, so for the freshmen, well, for me, in my eyes, no matter what classification they are, they're all kind of freshmen for me right now, just because it is my first year here at Voorhees. So, um, it's exciting to see them get excited. Just that energy that they possess is just really, really awesome. So just having those milestones are just great and great building blocks for them to just be able to achieve more within their career.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those seniors putting on that last Voorhees jersey for the last time?
Ooh, it gets you a little emotional, right? Because you wish you could have them forever. But realistically, we know that's not the case. So it can be an emotional journey just knowing like this is their last season or their last game. And then just knowing that this is going to be the last rodeo for me to coach them and just kind of, be with them for that amount of time. So it's definitely an emotional experience.
For you as a coach, what is it like seeing your players going on and playing collegiate softball elsewhere, whether it's professionally or getting into coaching?
Yeah, you know, of course, if they go on professionally, it would be like really awesome and very big for our program. We are an NAIA institution, so a lot of times we might not get the same recognition as, your SEC schools, ACC, those kinds of things. But just being able to play the game, one more year or whatever the case may be, is an accomplishment with all in itself. And then, those that are interested in going into coaching, it's great because we need more coaches, good quality coaches who love the game and who want to grow the game as well.
What have been some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far?
So at the university right now, it's just really bringing in a new culture. Just allowing the girls to still be themselves, but just knowing like, hey, we have standards and the standard is the standard. We're not going to lower the bar. We want to hit that and then, of course, achieve that. Just seeing some of the kids pitching, right? It's a hard task to do. So a freshman, she's thrown three complete games at this point, which is a big accomplishment, for her as a freshman, and then picking up wins early for us. So that just instills a lot of confidence within her. Um, but yeah, just being able to teach the game, and just infusing that within the program has been something really big for me.
What are some of your future plans for the softball program moving forward?
So future plans, right now, first year building blocks, just being able to be consistent and playing those complete games. And, for the future, I want us to be in the running for championships, whether it's conference championships or going that next milestone, regionals, national champs, like that's always a goal. But, small steps would start with recruiting. So being able to bring in a class of students that can also add to the young ladies that I have in the program right now. Some of my big accomplishments, I would say, just my ability to recruit kids. My biggest class has been 14 kids coming in, which I think is a huge feat. So I'm very proud about that. I've been able to help produce players of the week, pitchers of the week, and academic student athletes as well, because that's the biggest picture, right? Of course, they get to continue their career, but without the education, I mean, all the playing really means nothing. And that's what we really focus on is the educational side as well.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college softball?
Enjoy the process. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a different change of pace, for the sole fact that you don't have your parents there to guide you or wake you up in the morning or make sure, hey, like, go hit, go do this. Is your homework done? Kind of thing. Um, so that change of like being independent or a little more independent, is going to be a change, but just be open to the process and being coachable. I think that's the biggest thing that we look at as coaches and just wanting to buy into the system.
What advice would you give those seniors that have aspirations of playing professional softball?
Go for it. Don't limit yourself. You never know what you can achieve if you don't try. And so my advice is just to, if you're interested in it and that's what you want to do, um, pursue that 100%.
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of getting started into their coaching career?
Yeah, I would say have a village, have a community. So having people around you that can support you, and be there for you for the highs and the lows, that will help 100% throughout your career because coaching sometimes can be a thankless job. It can be a lonely job. And so just being able to surround yourself with other coaches, like-minded individuals, and just having your family support will help a lot.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to get started in building their own program?
Have patience. It's gonna take at least 3 to 5 year mark for you to build what you're wanting and build what you're looking for. But it's something special in that when you're building a program because you can see the growth of where you started to where you're going. And so I think it's just a really special time, even though it might seem a little stressful at times. But I would just say, patience and again your community surrounding yourself with those people to help you through those hard times.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program app?
Yeah, so we're at Voorhees University, and then you can actually find me on Twitter. It's Coach Courtney 12, so of course you can find me there. But that's mainly my main social media outlets that I'm on right now, or Facebook.
Thank you again, Coach Courtney Tucker, for your interview, and best luck in your future at Voorhees Tigers as the head softball coach.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Courtney Tucker, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.